I'd like to talk to you a little bit about spousal support. The first thing I'm going to tell you is that I think, if I'm right, and I think I am right, that Texas was the very last state in the United States to authorize any kind of spousal support or alimony. In part, that's because Texas is a good old boy state. It's not quite that bad now, but it was that way when everything got started. So men like to keep their money, women like to keep their kids. Now, I'm not saying that as a universal rule. I'm just saying that in all the years of my family law experience, which is volumes, I've been practicing family law for over 30 years, I have learned that when people are getting divorced, the men seem to care more, and maybe care is not the right word, but be more focused on what's this going to cost me? How much am I going to have to pay in child support? How much of my money am I going to have to give to my soon-to-be ex-wife? Wives, on the other hand, when they're young children, even teenage children, are much more worried about how are the children going to manage when they're with their father? He doesn't know anything about them. He doesn't take them to the doctor. He's not the one that buys the groceries. And that's what they worry about. Do they worry about money too? Of course. They need enough money to take care of themselves and the children, so it all matters. Every bit of that matters. In Texas, there is an authorization for spousal support, and you can go online and you can look up the entire statute. It says how much you can get maximum if you're married a certain period of time, and it goes through several different levels of spousal support. But those are just limitations. They limit the maximum. They do not limit the minimum, and they don't really make clear what you have to show in order to qualify for spousal support. So that's what I'm going to tell you. If you have a college education and you've worked during the marriage and you're making enough money to support yourself, not yourself and the children, just yourself, then you're not going to qualify for any kind of spousal support. On the other hand, if you've been a stay-at-home mom, even if you have a college education, and you can't get a decent job because you haven't worked for 10 or 20 years, you've taken care of the children, then a judge is going to be more likely to give you some kind of support. Most likely, they are going to order a support amount that will allow you time to get certified as a teacher or qualified as a real estate agent or whatever it is you're wanting to work on so that you can support yourself. Then they'll give you some help if it's affordable for the family as a whole while you do that. So husbands, don't think you have to pay the maximum just because that's what the statute says. And wives, don't think you're going to get the maximum just because that's what the statute says. As with everything in family law, spousal support is discretionary with a judge if you meet the minimum requirements, that you don't make enough or you're not able to make enough to support yourself, your minimum basic needs. All of that changes if you have a disability. And this particular talk doesn't include what happens when you have a disability. But of course, you can imagine, if you have a disability that keeps you from working, then you're probably going to get a lot more support than you would if you were healthy and were perfectly able to get a good job. And it doesn't matter whether you're a man or a woman. A man is entitled to get spousal support if he meets the same requirements that a woman would have to meet.